I wanted to talk to you about Embrace the Panda. It's a behind-the-scenes documentary streaming on Disney Plus right now, and it follows the development and the production of Turning Red, the recent film from Pixar that's gotten a lot of buzz. It's a unique movie in the Pixar lineage. It has a very different feel and point of view, and that's perhaps down to its very different production process, which is the story covered by Embrace the Panda. And this team is one of the reasons Turning Red deserves its own feature-length behind-the-scenes doc. For one thing, Turning Red's production team, at least its key roles, were all filled by women this time around, and that's a first. And it's somewhat appropriate here, given the subject matter. Turning Red is about a 13-year-old girl named Mei Lin Lee, a Chinese-Canadian girl in the year 2002, brought up in a somewhat traditional household, a temple actually, devoted to the red panda. And she helps her family maintain the temple while adhering to somewhat traditional value system, the keystone of which is honoring your parents. But Mei is 13. And that's an age where lots of changes, both physical and psychological and emotional, have been known to create some challenges for young people. And this film doesn't shy away from those. Even though a lot is presented through metaphor, it's pretty clear what's happening. And this causes a lot of friction, especially with her mom, although Dad becomes a key figure later in the film. When Mei's puberty suddenly takes center stage in her life, upending her comfortable existence, it manifests here by turning her into a giant red panda. Now, there are some awkward moments, like when Mei Lee's mom delivers feminine hygiene products to the school, or confronts a clueless boy at a checkout counter who Mei's secretly been drawing pictures of. They're cringy, but in a fun way. And you do get the sense early on that you're in really good directorial hands here. And it allows you to, or allowed me to, just relax a bit and get off your guard for the difficult topics that are being discussed. And eventually I just had a blast watching this with my kid. So that brings us to Embrace the Panda. And sorry for the roundabout introduction by way of Turning Red. Embrace the Panda is the companion behind-the-scenes documentary about the making of Turning Red. And the whole project is notable for a couple of things. First, Turning Red happened during the pandemic, and it could easily have been delayed or even shelved, as many movies were, because it's just too hard to work from home as a tightly knit crew for filmmaking. But they did it, and that's commendable. Second, this film had an all-female leadership team, and that's a first in the big-budget animation realm, and it's the sort of thing that I think could only have happened at Pixar. A quick personal note, I worked just down the street from Pixar for like 22 years at a visual effects company. And I saw a lot of people come through that moved on to jobs at Pixar. And the ones who seemed to get those jobs and stay on were generally very talented, but also very kind, very humorous, very unpretentious, unpetty, for lack of a better term. People of a sort that don't generally get ahead in an otherwise ego-driven industry. I even interviewed at Pixar in about 2015, and it was obvious in the first 5 minutes I wasn't right for the position. But the person interviewing me then proceeded to spend another half hour talking to me and really engaging on what my role was day to day and what their day was like. And she was very giving with her time. And when we left the interview room, it turned out to be release day for 2 of their new films, The Good Dinosaur and Inside Out. And when we came out of the room, the whole lobby was buzzing with press and visitors, and I suddenly realized this person has a lot more pressing things to do than talk to me for a half hour. But that's just how some people are. And I never felt so privileged to be turned down for a job. But these are the very genuine types of people who you're meeting in Embrace the Panda, the Pixar people who believe in the potential of the other folks around them and stand together to mutually feed and develop that potential, develop those skills, and ultimately manifest a dream. Making a movie is nothing but a dream until the right people band together and believe in it together and live it together. So this documentary is about people like first-time director Domi Shi, production designer Rona Liu, VFX soup Danielle Feinberg, and producer Lindsay Collins. And it juxtaposes the story of the fictional Mei in the film with their own coming-of-age stories and backgrounds in a way that really illustrates how honest Turning Red is trying to be with its subject matter through the lens of their own journeys toward believing in themselves as women working in a very competitive, sometimes very biased industry. Full disclosure now, I didn't seek out this film because I had no idea it existed. But after watching Turning Red with my daughter for maybe the second or third time, I got up to do other things, and when I wandered by again, there she was watching this behind-the-scenes doc. It's not the type of thing that usually holds her attention. I wandered by again, and she was still really engrossed in it. So I stopped and I watched the rest with her, and I've since watched Embrace the Panda in its entirety. And I think what resonated with her first was she knew I worked in the industry for a long time and had shown her a little bit about how animated movies were made on my computer. But that's not a huge part of Embrace the Panda. What she really seemed to enjoy were these women involved in making it, their decision to make this thing, and their confidence in pulling together and willing it into existence, presented alongside their personal life stories of careers and marriage and child-rearing. I think it's the first time she saw, on a screen anyway, women as working professionals who were also moms and partners and people of vision, all at the same time. My daughter's very creative herself, if I do say so. But at 7 going on 8, I think she wonders, to what end? What good is creativity when it mainly causes friction sometimes between you trying to make friends and direct stories between yourself and, say, a bunch of kids who just want to run around crazy? She sometimes mentions that she feels weird, and that can break a parent's heart, and you can feel helpless trying to change that. So I think she felt a validation of that creative spirit, because here were women who'd hung on to theirs from childhood and brought it into adulthood in a positive way, and had made a unique and touching film that had already moved her and made her feel more confident and just good about herself. And that's an experience worth giving to your kid, I think. So guys, if you're the open-minded sort of parent who doesn't shy away from reality and can support your kid in their personal journey of finding themselves, and you want them to grow up to be individuals who embrace life and their own creativity and their own truth, and not just the programming that other people want to give them from tradition or faith or whatever other impositions of will they feel compelled to put on other people, then take a look at this documentary and consider putting it on the screen some night, especially if you have a daughter who might need a shot in the arm to boost her own growth mindset. Well, there's a lot more positive, supportive programming for girls these days than there used to be back in the day. There's not a lot of material like this showing real women, real human beings coming together, validating their own dreams and holding each other up, pushing through in their pursuit of those dreams. And it's not overly heavy, it's not over-dramatized, it's honest, it's funny, it's creative. It's just a good time, it's a good watch. So embrace the Panda. It's streaming on Disney Plus right now. I could go on and tell you more about the film, but honestly, it's something that either intrigues you enough to watch or you just were never going to. I just had no idea it existed, so I wanted to bring it to some people's attention, and there you have it. So for Daddy-Daughter Movie Night, I'm Tom. See you soon. I think it's the first time... All right. And that's an experience worth giving to your kid, I think. So guys, if you're the open-minded sort of parent who doesn't object,